You have improved a lot.
Thank you. I have been taking lessons. You should meet Coach Cami.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my chess channel. In this video, I cannot wait to show you the game I played in the third round at the famous Arzachess Festival, which is held every year around Easter in a very beautiful location on the seaside in Sardinia. I hope that sometime you will get the chance to come visit and play this tournament, which is organized by my chess club. And now let's see the game. I was playing as white against an international master. I will call him Luba because I'm not sure how to pronounce his entire name, but you can see it written down. And let's just jump into it. I started with the pawn on d4. I played the Queen's Gambit, and then I was preparing to do the exchange variation when all of a sudden he turned it around into a Dutch defense with a stone wall. And so I simply continue the development of my pieces, and he's offering the trade of the bishops. Now I decided to push the pawn and gained 2 outposts on d6 and e5 because in this way I will invite him to trade my bishop instead. And when he does so, I prefer this pawn structure because I have just exposed his backwards pawn on a semi-open file, which will be much easier for me to attack. Plus, he will not be able to push e5 anymore, seeing that I have so much control over that square. All right, he castled. I have the good bishop, which he will try to trade soon. He's trying to make more space in his territory by trading off my pawn on c5, which I will support with another pawn. So I'll have a longer pawn chain. Again, what I'm trying to do is maintain my advantage of space. Now, he invades my center with his knight. I avoided a trade. Instead, I put pressure on his weak pawn on b6. Can you see that now I have an outpost on b6 as well? He's offering the trade. I take the initiative by attacking the rook and infiltrating his territory. Then I will trade the bishops and suddenly castle. When he plays knight back to b8, he will try to bring it to d7 and trade my knight, which is very powerful. So my purpose is not to allow him to develop the knight. Therefore, I'll bring the second knight on the outpost in the center. Now, the difference between my knight and his knight, talking about the 2 knights in the center, is that my knight cannot be sent back, but his knight can. So I'm just pushing him backwards. Now he wants to bring the knight on d7. And again, he is trying to simplify the position by trading knights because the side with a lack of space will have to trade pieces in order to make more space, to make more room. So this is just logical. So that I will try to avoid that. Again, by putting more pressure on c6, we can see that if he brings the knight on d7, I will take it, he will take it, and he will lose the pawn on c6. All right, so he pushed the pawn to h6. Can you see that he can't do anything? The center is completely blocked for him. His pieces on the queen side are very passive. So all he can think of in this moment is to try a counterplay on the king side. I'll continue the development of my pieces, bringing the rook on the semi-open file. He pressures my weak pawn. I create a new pawn chain and so fortify the pawn on f4, which he will attack with his pawn. At this point, it is convenient for me to trade, and thus I won't have the double pawns anymore. And then I'll prepare to double the rooks on the central file. Comes back to f6 because e4 turns to his interest, especially now that he will push the pawn to g4 to trade my pawn from f3, so the knight will enter e4 again. Now I take the pawn. He comes with a knight in the center, and he wants to do the double attack, right? And now I have realized that I can let him do that. And I just took the pawn on f5. He went after my rook, And that's okay, because now my pawn becomes so powerful. It's a passed pawn, and I'm even threatening queen to g6 or just pawn to f7 with a fork, right? Now I take back the knight. I'm still threatening to push the pawn on f7. Now the rook is coming up with a rook lift, threatening to do the skewer on the h file. I think he still played this, and after f7, I think this is the moment when he resigned, because now his rook from a7 is completely disconnected, and I will checkmate him on the two files. If you enjoyed this video, I would like to invite you to press like and to share it with your friends on your social media. You can also visit my coach profile on lichess.org, which is the website that I use for my videos and studies. If you'd like more information on how you can have private lessons with me, please send a message on the email listed below. This being said, I want to thank you again for all your attention. I cannot wait to meet you again in my next video. Have a wonderful, wonderful time.